Well, hello everyone. My name is Pamela Ellsworth, and I am a PHR certified HR professional. I've been in the field for about 10 years. I've worked for government agencies, nonprofits, private organizations. Currently, I am a private consultant, and I help employees navigating through workplace issues. I help job seekers prepare for job interviews, and I also help corporations with their policies, their recruitment plans, and so much more.
Thank you. And so y'all follow her. She's good people. So one of the first questions I wanted to ask was, after you saw the poll complete and you saw that it was like 260 people, 81% were like, I don't, really trust HR pretty much. And then you saw all the comments. How did it initially make you feel?
Well, I think, as you know, the second I saw the post, I was like, oh, she just had to go there because it is such a hot topic. And I think no matter where you go, there's always this struggle between I trust HR and I don't trust HR. And I knew the second that you put that poll out, it was going to get a massive response, which it did. And I think if you had left it up any longer, you would have hit probably, I don't know, 1,000 votes, but you kept it pretty short. So I did take a look at some of the comments because, I can't see who votes and what their job titles are. Only you can, but I can definitely look at the comments. And that's the first thing I did, was scroll through some of the comments. And it seemed, overwhelmingly negative, as you know.
Sadly, yeah. And we were talking about that offline, with the people, the things that affect them most are negative, the things that they remember. I think you were, touching on that. And, can you talk to us about that? Because you said it a lot better than I can.
I know, if we could only record what we were talking about offline as well, because we have a lot of conversations offline. And, everybody, if you don't already follow Brittany, please do, because she is a wealth of information.
Wow.
So down to earth and so easy to talk to. But we were definitely having a conversation about, how if something negative happens to you, you remember that. It sticks down deep, where something positive, it makes you feel good. It's sometimes, unfortunately, temporary. You feel good, someone's nice to you, someone does a great job, and that sticks with you for a couple days, and then you forget about it. But when something bad happens to you, personal life, work life, it impacts you more negatively and more deeply. And unfortunately, we hang on to the negative. Just as human nature. So, for those people who have had even one really bad thing happen at work where it was associated with HR, they're going to remember that. And typically HR has to do with things like employees, work performance, personal information, job title, pay rate, things like that. But it also has to do with promotions, fairness in terms of salaries, hiring, firing, benefits, retirement, family medical leave. I mean, there's a lot of very personal things that HR takes care of. So think about if one HR person messes up your disability paperwork, or if one HR person messes up your pay rate and doesn't catch it for 3 months. And any of these things are so deeply personal and attached to our family lives and our well-being, that is definitely going to impact us. And, we're going to remember that. So unfortunately, with HR, there's a lot of the good stuff, the hiring, the employer recognition, the benefits, but then there's the bad, the firings, the errors, things like that. So it's a little bit like, it's a double-edged sword for HR. Yeah. If someone does really well, they're going to, the employee is going to remember that and then forget about it. Whereas if they do something bad, the employee is going to remember that forever.
Right. And that's where I think a lot of those comments came from that were negative, like you said. And the real reason, for those of you who don't know, why I initially did that poll is because it is a hot topic, but I wanted both perspectives. I wanted HR people to see all the qualms, and so that they could use that information, to maybe better their processes, or just, internal, be more understanding as to why employees feel that way and maybe what they can do to fix things. But I definitely wanted employees to be able to watch this video and be like, well, wow, maybe there is a completely different perspective. Not all HR people are the devil. They're not all out.
They're not?
Right? They're not all out to get me. And, maybe I need to step back, use my emotional intelligence to be like, maybe from a human aspect, because it's human resources, employees want to be treated like an employee, not just a number. Well, HR employees are humans too, and
Right.
they need to be treated with the same fairness. And so I wanted both people to benefit from these types of conversations. It wasn't an attack on HR, even though a lot of HR people are not having
Well,
it.
like what you were talking about, offline is that an HR person, they have their own life. They have bad times at home. They have bad times at work, but their whole job is customer service. And an HR rep's customer is an employee. And what is the number one role in customer service? An employee or a customer is always right, right? So obviously with HR, our employees are our customers. So you always have to have this customer service mindset. And if you go to work as an HR rep and you're not feeling well, you're having a bad day, it does not matter because you still have to be on. You have to be smiling. You have to be ready to help people. You have to be there to answer their questions, to process their paperwork. And, there's a lot of pressure, I think, on an HR rep. And I did notice that I do have to bring up that the comments, like I was saying, I went directly to the comments and they were overwhelmingly negative in the poll, was that most of the comments were from non-HR professionals. Obviously not a lot of HR professionals are going to go on the poll and start talking really badly about HR and how they don't trust themselves or HR. It was overwhelmingly people who were not in the HR field, and also a lot of people who maybe were not in, I guess you could say, a C-suite or executive management position as well, because oftentimes, the C-suite and the HR department work very closely together. And, a lot of the comments, even if they were managers, were not, higher level positions. So they're people who, I hate to say it, but they just maybe don't understand the behind the scenes inner workings, so sometimes someone can get upset if they ask a question and they're told no, but why? I want to know why you're telling me no. And sometimes they don't like the answer. HR reps, they have to refer back to policy often. And sometimes people don't like policy. Sometimes the HR reps' hands are tied. It's like, this is what I can do for you. I can't do any more. Or this is what I can do for you. I understand your situation. Let me try to help remedy this and come to a middle ground. But if the employee is still not happy, they're going to carry that negativity with them forever. And that means all HR staff are bad. They're lazy. They didn't do something quick enough, but they don't understand that there may be signatures needed from the higher ups and they can't obtain them. Maybe they made a mistake on someone's pay and they fixed it the next pay period. Well, maybe they called in sick one day. I mean, there's so many different things that maybe if someone who had a negative experience with HR is going to say negative things about them, they might not understand exactly what happened behind the scenes when the negative, thing happened.
Absolutely. And like I try to tell people, even like with any customer service job, like if I call in and try to be a Karen, just kidding. If I call in with a complaint to a customer,
that word, okay.
Right, to a customer service place because I didn't like something, I always say, I just want you to know that I am not attacking you. I am coming in here to tell you my qualms, but please don't take this as an attack because it's not. I'm not frustrated with you. I'm frustrated with this. And that's how I always broach the subject, because then they also take their defenses down. And I usually get what I want, honestly, when I'm nice. If I come in here like to Verizon, like the freaking, and just flip out on a Verizon customer service, they're probably less apt from a human element to be like, not want to help me as much as if I came in nice. So just like the same with HR, like, yes, you maybe had a bad experience, but if this is a new person, give them a chance, have empathy that, hey, maybe there is some underlying issue. Ask. Instead of assuming that it's something bad and HR just doesn't give a hoot, be like, could you expound, why this is? And I'm sure the HR person will try to do their best. Like you said, at some point their hands are tied. But I think the biggest message today with this is empathy towards each perspective. If we have that, it'd be better.
Right. And I think, unfortunately, oftentimes if an employee doesn't like the outcome of something they approach HR with, you're right, they don't take the time to maybe understand why a policy is the way it is, or why the staff cannot help them as soon as they would like. And while I'd say 80-90% of HR people are good, yes, there are those, bad apples, unfortunately. It sounds cliche, but they want to help people. They really do. And, if an employee doesn't understand why a policy is the way that it is, they could take the time to ask. But also sometimes an HR rep can't just bend a policy for one employee, because if you have 1,000 employees, then all of a sudden you have to bend the policy for 999 other people as well. And it really is a balance for an HR rep to, have the company's best interest in mind, because yes, the company did hire the HR rep and they are paying their salary.
Yep.
And they do have to make sure the company's best interest is always going to come, to the front and the foremost of everyday operations. HR is there to keep operations running. And I know a lot of employees, unfortunately, think because the company is paying for the HR's salary, signing their paychecks, that they don't care about the employees, and that's not the case. A good HR person will find that balance between supporting the company as well as keeping the employee's best interest at heart as well.
Right. It's like you said, delicate balance, and both can be done. And I wanted to give an example of something that happened to me that was a bad HR experience. So I was in an aerospace company, and our equivalent of an HR lady came down, and she walked into our trailer and she was like, "You all need to read this and you all need to sign it. And if you don't," and I'm not joking, this is how abrupt and blunt she was. "And if you don't, then we're going to have to escort you out, because if you don't sign this, you can't work here anymore." And all of us were like, "Well, hello to you too, lady. What?" Like, what the heck is, and then so we start reading it, and it's a non-compete.
Okay.
This is literally my second week there. So I'm like, oh, well, this is going great, but everyone else in there too is like, there's certain system engineers that are like, this non-compete really messes them up, like their whole entire careers. So the way it was worded, it was just, we called lawyers and it was trash anyway, but it's just like, I understand that the HR, like her boss is the CEO, and this was his idea, and she has to do what she has to do. But there's a way in which she could have done it that wasn't so.
Oh yeah, delivery is key. And to all the new HR staff out there, if you are ever tasked with delivering a new policy or delivering a new procedure or having employees sign a new document, explain it to them, because employees just want to be heard. They want to understand what it is they're signing and why. This is employees' livelihood. I mean, they spend most of their time at work, away from their families. And, like I said, they want to be heard. They want to not sign something without knowing what it is. They want to sign it and know what it is they're signing. So all the new HR people, right initially when you go in, sometimes there's, seasoned employees, they know if you're BSing. If you come in and you're just, all smiles, all happy, "I'll get that right away," they're going to be like, "Oh God, we're going to eat her alive." You come in with this, humbleness, like, "I'm here. I want to help you guys. I want to learn about the company. I want to learn about what you guys need and how I can help both." And just always have that transparency as much as possible. There are privacy issues, HIPAA, things that maybe employees don't need to know or can't know, of course. Right. But a good HR person in the beginning of your career, you need to understand that balance between helping the company and helping the employees. And I encourage you, I don't know if this is good or not, but if you feel comfortable, if you do see some sort of issue where you think that the company policy should be changed, could be improved, or the employees are getting a bum deal, bring that up to someone you're comfortable with, whether it's your boss, whether it's the executive management team. Follow the proper, chain of command and voice it. Because I know in my career, I've had a couple times where, I voiced something and they didn't like it. But I knew that, I had to say it because what I saw happening with the employees was not fair. Mm-hmm. And there comes a point where, as an HR rep, you have to follow what the company says to a point. If it's bending your morals, if you don't feel comfortable, if you're just like, "I don't care how much money they're paying me, this isn't right," you know what you can handle and when, to stop it. But if you feel comfortable, find someone that you are comfortable speaking with and say, hey, I know this is the policy, but we should change it to this. Sometimes they'll listen, because you as an HR person should have some good experience and some good insight as to employee relations and what can make things better for them as well.
Absolutely. And I'm super happy that, you give this advice to young HR reps, or shoot, any of them. You're never too old to learn or too far in your career. Like you said, delivery is so important. And yeah, that was just a bad situation. And I could see how anyone that was in that trailer with me was like, if this is how HR is, this is just a hot mess. But again, I also was understanding that this is one lady. Not everyone is like that, because I've also had really good experiences with HR. This was just a bad apple again, so it's like differentiate between the good and the bad.
Everyone on your poll was correct that, HR does have to make the company happy and listen to the company. Mm-hmm. But there was, some comments there that were saying HR only is out for the company's best interest, and they're going to screw you over. I saw some really bad things, which for me, I know a lot of good HR people who are, stretched very thin and deal with so many different things. And to see that is just like, ouch, they work really hard behind the scenes to make sure that everything's running smooth. And it's not often you're going to find that the problems, I hate to say this, so as the CEOs out there, please, I hate to say this, but it's not often you're going to see a lot of the problems be HR's fault. It's more of an executive management fault. Mm-hmm. HR is there to kind of be the liaison between the company and the employees and find a balance of how to just make things run smooth so the employees are taken care of and the company is taken care of. And I wish, more employees would understand that HR's role is kind of a middleman. And, people are so quick to judge an HR rep, whomever it may be, as a director, a manager, a specialist, an assistant. Of course, people make minor errors, make mistakes. Maybe they aren't a good worker. That's one thing. But systematic problems in an organization, typically, I hate to say it, but they come from the top. Oh, which brings us on the topic of workplace culture.
That's my jam.
That's you, girl.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point earlier about how the definition of culture, some people have that completely misconstrued, especially in the HR realm. Like maybe they didn't get hired because, they weren't a good culture fit, which I believe is an absolutely justifiable reason as to why not to hire somebody. But I'd love to hear your perspective. They'll love to hear your perspective on this. So take it away.
So I might lose followers. I don't know, but that's fine. Hopefully people can, have an open mind when they hear people discussing workplace culture. Mm-hmm. I think for you, it's really cool that you're still using that term and you're still kind of bringing that to the forefront and making it a topic. I think right now, the word culture itself in terms of workplace culture in a jobs, in an office, at a job site, is kind of being misused or taken out of context. For various reasons. But, back in the day, long time ago, because I'm pretty old, but, when I first started working, I learned very quickly what the term workplace culture meant. And, the term is used basically to describe the feeling you have, let's say, if you work in an office. What's the feeling when you walk in an office? I could say my workplace culture is one of, a lot of teamwork. It's a very team-oriented culture. Or alternately, my workplace culture sucks. It is so gossipy. It's backstabbing, terrible culture. Mm-hmm. Or the company culture is of philanthropy. That's the kind of term and the kind of way that people used to use workplace culture. And I think culture fit, a lot of people I see, they're wanting to move away from the term culture fit. But I think they're misunderstanding what it really means. And not only that, but I feel like in today's day and age, people who really may not have been meant to get a job, either they weren't the best candidate or, God had another plan for them, another job, and they just weren't meant to have that job. They immediately, if they hear anything close to, well, you weren't the right fit, then, they kind of get a little upset because it's too broad of a definition. They want to know why, they want to know reasons. And that's understandable. But, let me give you an example. If I'm a hiring manager and I've got two really great candidates, and I hate to use this example again, I've used it on my LinkedIn before, but I think it's kind of relevant. Tell me what you think. Let's say a marijuana dispensary.
Mm-hmm.
Hot topic, right? So let's say there's a marijuana dispensary and they're hiring for a CFO, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got two really awesome candidates. Both have the same experience.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's exactly the same with one key difference. One of them is pro marijuana and they advocate for it, and one of them is against it, hates it, and advocates against it. Mm-hmm. Which one is a better culture fit?
Right.
Or I use the term again, I use the term culture and fit in another, similar post on my LinkedIn, which was like the example of, let's say someone needs an events coordinator for an animal shelter, and they've got two people with the exact same experience, two great candidates. One is allergic to dogs and hates cats and tells everyone how much they hate cats. The other one has 50 animals at home, and on the weekends they volunteer at the animal shelter and work at a pet store. Which one's the better culture fit? Exactly. So I think that, the term fit and office culture are very relevant topics. I think that we, as a society can do a lot better at improving our workplace culture. I do find that, there are some companies, unfortunately, when someone comes on, they have a set, idea in their head of who they want to hire. Mm-hmm. And they may, yes, miss out on an opportunity to hire someone who could be a valuable asset to their team because they didn't think they were the right fit. That does happen too, don't get me wrong.
For sure.
But, the majority of the time, if they're using you weren't the right fit, is probably because you weren't. In my own, personal life last year, I was very close to taking a job that I eventually turned down. It was a really great opportunity, but I knew I was not a good fit. I wasn't a good fit for the company. So it does happen.
Absolutely. And we were talking about that offline too. And that's a great example. Like when people are looking for jobs or a company to work for, like also, and I tell people that in a lot of posts, like you need to make sure that you fit the culture, because if you don't, you're not going to like it.
Oh, like, totally. Yeah.
If someone is like, government jobs, a lot of them, and I'm going to get hate for this, a lot of them will bore you to tears.
Wait, you're going to get hate, Britt? You're going to get hate? No.
And some government jobs are just so boring, but some people are cool and good at, and we need mundane task type jobs. But if you're innovative and you're just like, oh, I want to go and fix all the things and woo, well, that's not a good culture fit for you to go and work in a government.
Right. That's a good point, because I guess it's like if someone likes to work outdoors and they're stuck in an office.
Right. Exactly.
So, you bring up a good point.
Thanks. But so to do all the fun topics, I guess I'll wrap it up here. We could go on for hours, but I'm so happy and thankful that you came on. I think you're going to give people a lot to ponder. So thank you for being on the show with me.